Hi there, welcome to Life in Motion Gym. I'm Jackie, and you may see Luna in and out of the class today as well. She's hanging out with us. And today we're going to do a short practice for yoga for people with osteoporosis, which can be a good amount of us out there, right? So, osteoporosis is something that happens when the bones start to lose some of their density, and it can put us at a further risk of fractures. So, 1 out of 2 women in their lifetime will have an osteoporotic related fracture, and 1 out of 4 men in their lifetime will have a similar fracture. So that's a lot of us out there. And most of these fractures can be in the hip, the femur, which is that big bone at the top of our legs connected into our hip socket. And then the spine, of course, which can usually be from a lot of as we age, we start to have that forward posture and hunched kind of posture, which puts some pressure on the spine in the front. And a lot of times over time and repetition and that force happening can cause some microfractures or worse, even more fractures in the vertebrae as well. And then other times it can happen from, unfortunately, if we fall, the first instinct is to put our hand out to catch us. So a lot of the wrist fractures can happen from that type of fall or that type of aspect as well. So it can be the hips, the thighs, the spine, and sometimes the wrist just as an outlying factor of falling. So of course we want to try to prevent falls, right? To do that, we want to work on balance, which yoga, we will work on a little bit of that today. It can be very helpful for balance. Some bone density we want to help improve, which some yoga poses have at least demonstrated the ability to do so in some research studies. And then build the strength in the muscles, which again, yoga has been shown to do in some research studies as well. So I know Dr. Lauren Fisher has done a lot of the research and a lot of the work with yoga for osteoporosis. So I pulled some aspects from her and then from my physical therapy background, modifications. We're starting from the very kind of beginner level today. If you're apt at yoga and knowledgeable, you can do all these poses without the chair. You can do some on the floor, and then standing, you can do standing without the support of the chair. But they're completely adaptable to your level. And then I just wanted to kind of give a little overview of some of the ones that are the biggest bang for your buck and the most beneficial to try to practice on to promote the bone density growth, the strength, and then work on the balance. So we can try to decrease the risk of falls and thus the fracture risk as a result. And also to help with the posture, again, to try to open up the front of us and strengthen the back muscles so our posture is a little bit better so we get out of that flexed forward position. Okay. No, I just wanted to give a little intro today. I know that can be a little longer than we normally do, but I wanted to kind of give you the background of why I wanted to do this today to share with you some of these poses and to bring awareness that as we do get older, and women unfortunately too have more of a risk for osteoporosis. So it's, applicable to a lot of people. And even if you're at osteopenia, which is the level right before osteoporosis, or if you don't have it at all, but you want to prevent, some exercise to help prevent this from happening, these are all great poses to work on. We will use some props today, or at least I will be using them. But again, if you know how to not to do them safely without the props at home, then by all means go ahead. I'll be using the chair, block, and straps. And I have a blanket behind me here as well, okay? So you can, again, do these without those, but I'll be showing modifications with them because, again, we want to be, especially if we are a person that has been diagnosed with osteoporosis, we want to modify and make sure the spine is in good alignment before we do a lot of this bending, which we don't do too much of, but we want to keep the spine in a good position if we do bend a little bit or side bend or extend. So modify with our props. A blanket, I would certainly grab a blanket or a pillow. I'm going to, at the end of class, offer a pose on the floor But again, I'll show you a version on the chair. I just really like to do it on the floor. It's one of my favorite poses to help stretch out the front of us. But again, certainly I'll show you a modification for the floor. So that's an option. If you want to take it with me. And then everything else will be in the chair or standing, and we'll be holding the poses a little bit longer because they found if you hold about 20, could be minimally per se 10 to 15 seconds, but if you want to really get into that bone density side of things, about 20 to 30 seconds. So we'll hold the poses a little longer, but we'll repeat them as well to get a few rounds in of each. So it's not going to be like a flow per se, but we're going to work through each pose at a time. Okay. All right. We are going to start in standing. So if you need to pause the video now, grab your stuff, set yourself up, I would go ahead and do so, and then just press play when you're ready to come back, okay? All right. I'm going to just move my chair towards the front, put my blanket, and move my props up here too for now. So we're starting in our mountain pose, which is our standing pose. So feet a little bit, it can be hips width or a little wider if you need more balance. So just kind of, take a little bit of marching in place and then just see where your feet land, see what happens with your posture here. So we were talking about how we want to work on our posture. So if you're finding that you're kind of like this or like this, let's try to work on that a little bit. So from the feet up, go ahead and you can have a soft bend in the knees. You don't have to lock the knees out, but not also bent like this. So soft bend in the knees, and then lift up through the heart, through the chest, through the hips. Notice at your hips, is your back really arched or is it really flat? And can you come somewhere? You can play around with it a little bit here. Rock the hips forward and back. Try to come somewhere in the middle. You want to honor the curve of the spine. So that means we have a little curve in our low back and a little curve at our neck. And then through the middle, a little bit of a curve the other way. So you want to have a little curve in the low back, shoulders, down and back, away from the ears, and then a slight, if our chin is kind of sticking out, a slight chin tuck, but again, not so much that we're flattening the neck, just a slight engagement. Arms are relaxed, hands by our side, and relax those shoulders. If they're rounded forward, we're trying to engage our back muscles, squeeze the shoulder blades slightly, and draw the shoulders down away from the ears. So I know that can be a lot, doesn't have to be perfect, but we're just trying to engage our core a little bit more and use our back muscles to help our posture a little bit more. So this can always be your resting spot if you need to, or you can always have a seat in the chair if you need to while we work through some of these poses here. I'm just going to turn back around so I can face my chair. So wherever your chair is, have it in front of you. We're going to work on a modified sun salutation here. So that's just kind of a little warm-up pose where we'll do a little bit of stretching and warming up through the body. So we have our mountain pose, our standing pose. We're kind of zipping up from the toes all the way to the top of the head. And pause here for me. Give me 3 breaths to ground yourself into the mat, into the earth. Feel the ground underneath the feet for me. So let's inhale, let it out, exhale. Inhale, feel the belly up. Exhale, big sigh. Clear the mind for class today. Inhale. Exhale, let go of what you're holding on to that you don't need. Release it out here. Again, equal weight through both legs, soft bend in the knees. Let's inhale, Arms all the way up, ground through the heels as you lift up through the arms and the heart. Exhale, fold forward, hands to the top of the chair to start. And just start to fold forward until you feel the back of the legs kind of limiting your motion. Because again, we want to not round forward like this, but we want to keep our back somewhat flat as we fold forward. So your hands can be on your shins or your thighs or the chair. So fold forward, then inhale here for me. Lift up halfway, engage your core, engage your back. You want a flat back here. Shoulders down, away from the ears, and then release and fold forward. Go ahead and step your left foot back a step, your right foot back a step. Downward dog with the chair. So let your hips sink back, let your arms straighten, and your head will fall between the arms. So will your heart. Heart folds towards the knees. Breathe in, breathe out. Soft bend in the knees. Step your right leg forward, step your left leg forward, and then inhale, arms lift all the way up. And exhale, relax. So that'll make more sense. We're going to do that 2 more times. Ground through the feet. Your next inhale, we're lifting arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Dropping head towards the chair. Inhale, lift up halfway. Engage the belly. Exhale, fold forward. Soft bend in the knees. Step your left foot back. Step your right foot back. And then straighten the knees the best you can as you sink the hips back and let the heart and head fall between your arms. You can see here, my hips are behind me. My knees are a little bent just because my hamstrings are a little tight today. And then inhale, step right foot forward, left foot forward, soft bend in the knees as you reach all the way up. Big inhale, and then exhale, relax. Mountain pose. Pause for a breath. Let's do one more. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward, release. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold forward again. Left foot steps back, right foot steps back. Hips sink behind us. Hands on the chair for support. Heart melts between the arms. Feel the opening in the back of the legs. Head can lift a little if you start to get dizzy. Inhale, soft bend in the knees. Step the right foot forward, left foot forward. Big reach all the way up. Inhale and exhale. Drop the arms. Breathe in and breathe out. We're going to take it into our chair pose. This is a great one to build that strength in the hips and in the thighs. So coming from our mountain pose, feet a little wider than hips width apart on this one. And same concept as downward dog. Let's sink the hips back. The knees will bend here. I should still be able to see my toes. My knees are behind my toes. And then arms can be in prayer. Arms can be on the chair. Or arms can be straight out. But slide those shoulder blades back, okay? Inhale. We're holding for a few breaths here. Remember, we want to hold so we can build the bone density. So breathe in. Grab the chair if you need to. One more breath. And then grab the chair as needed and come all the way back up. Big reach. And then exhale, arms down. Pause, see how that felt. 2 more times. Here's inhale, arms up, sink the hips back, bend the knees. You don't have to go that far, just a couple of inches. If you feel comfortable, you can go farther. Otherwise, if you need to hold on, you can hold on to the chair. You should be able to wiggle your toes in this position. So more of the weight is on the heels of the foot. And try not to let that low back really arch too much. Remember, honor the curve of the low back. Last breath. I know we're holding it. I know it's hard. And then come all the way back up. Big lift with the arms. Inhale and exhale. Relax. Shake it out. We got one more. All right. Remember, equal weight on both legs as you come back. Sink the hips. And I'm going to just tuck my tailbone a little bit because I can feel my back kind of pulling and being a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to kind of take a little bit of that curve away, scoop my pelvis under as I hold here for another breath. And one more. On this one, hands to the chair. Let the knees straighten and you can just fold forward. You may need to shift where your feet are. Again, try to keep the back somewhat flat as you bend the knees slightly. And then inhale all the way back up, mountain pose. Relax the shoulders. We're moving on to warrior two. So chair can be to the side or you can move it in front of you. I'm going to keep it to my side so you can see me better. So from warrior two, you want to have a little wider stance than we did for our chair pose. So I like to have maybe 3 feet or more between my feet. Depends how you feel. Hold on as needed. Okay. Toes facing the front of the mat. If our knees are kind of sinking in, I want you to use those muscles on the outside of the hip to align the knees with your ankles. Okay. Again, honor the curve in the low back. If you're really arching, try to scoop the pelvis underneath you, flatten the back a little bit. We don't want it all the way flat. Turn your right toes out to the side. You may need to adjust your feet a little bit here as well. Again, I can still see my toes. My knees are not all the way over. I'm backing off to protect my knee joint. And then I'm coming all the way up, nice and tall. Relax the shoulders. Arms come all the way out in front, well, to each side, I should say. And you can look straight ahead or look over your right fingertips here. You can also be holding onto the chair with your other hand, right? Or you're near the wall. Breathe here for me. Right knee's bent, like I said. Left leg is straight-ish. If you need a little bend, that's okay, but you're trying to straighten that left leg. Again, we're holding for a little longer to build that strength. And go ahead and drop the arms. Now keep your leg where it is. Straighten that right leg. And work on just some side bending here. Luna. She likes to chew on the plant. Work on that side bending. And then we're going to add in for triangle pose. So again, if I want to be near my chair, I'm going to use my right hand on the chair. So I don't want to come down too far where I start to fold forward, because again, that's putting a lot of pressure on the spine, especially with the side bending. So you want to be able to see where you can keep the heart lifted, belly's engaged, soft bend in the right knee, and we have triangle pose. So your hand can be on the chair or your thigh. Chair's nice to give a little bit of support. So we're not just dumping down into it, we're lifted, right? So our spine is in a nice alignment. One more breath. And then inhale, arms up, and you're into your warrior two. One more time. Breathe, gently pushing that right foot into the floor. And straighten that right leg. Drop your right hand to the chair. One more time, triangle pose. Heart's lifted. Back is spine, I should say, is in good alignment. We're not folded forward or too much to the side. We're lifted using our abdominal muscles on that left side. And then inhale all the way back up. Turn your toes forward. Now at home you can turn around and use the chair for support on the other side, but I'm going to go right into it so you can see me from the front here. So left toes will turn out, and you don't have to turn your toes out all the way towards the back of the mat. It can be kind of at a diagonal towards the corner of the back of the mat. That allows a little more freedom at the hips. So if you have tight hips, just put your foot out probably like halfway, not all the way. Left knee bends, right leg straight. My left heel is lined up with the arch of my right foot. So we're in good alignment here. Arms come up. I can still see my left toes. Breathing in, relaxing the shoulders on the exhale. And on your exhale, straighten that left leg and just start to, you can bring your right hand to the right hip. Just start to do a little bit of side flexing, but keeping the back flat or straight. Trying not to rotate the spine as you work on this. And then hand on the chair or your thigh, you can come into your triangle pose. And I let my right hip, I let it rotate a little forward with this because again, it allows more movement in my spine so it doesn't catch my spine as much. You don't have to be, exactly lined up with the hip aspect here. And then inhale, come back up, warrior two. Let that left knee bend. Anything perfect isn't for everyone, right? So in some yoga classes, they say, make sure you can fit between two paints of class. Well, that's not achievable for most of us. So a little bit of movement or modification is quite all right. It's like I said with the toes, you don't have to have your foot all the way out because we're modifying for our body, right? Straighten that left knee, hand to the chair, triangle pose. And again, we're not just dumping down, we're lifting up using those right side muscles. Your gaze can be straight ahead, especially if you have any neck issues. I think she settled down. And then inhale all the way up and toes turn forward, and you can just step it forward from here. Come into your mountain pose. Inhale and exhale. So now that was some strengthening. Let's go into some balancing. I'm going to grab my block. If you don't have the block but you have your chair, I'm just going to turn my chair to show you how you can use your chair. I would recommend at least trying to use one of them at least for today to see how you feel. So if you have your block or books or whatever you want to use, we're going to put it to the right side of our foot, the outside of our right foot. This was another pose that was showed really good, not only for balance, but for some of that strengthening and bone density aspect because it's weight bearing, right? A lot of any weight bearing activity like yoga is beneficial for that. So we're going to shift our weight to the left leg. If our hip pops out, I want you to tuck that hip in, squeeze the glutes, and put your foot on top of that block. Now the block can be on any height that you feel comfortable with. So we can start on the lowest height. And then I want you to, just the ball of the foot on the block, pivot that right knee, whatever motion you have. Again, don't jam it all the way out, right? Even if it's pointing halfway, that's fine, or part of the way. So this is one version of tree, okay? Soften in the knee. I'm engaging my left hip. My belly button is pulled in. Hands are in prayer, or hands are all the way up. So let's inhale here. We're going to do 2 of these on each side. So the first round I'll show you with the block. The second round I'll show you with the chair. If this is still too hard, you can be kind of near the wall, touching the wall, or do a little kickstand with your foot, okay? One last breath. And then slowly drop the hands and rotate the knee forward and then place it down. If you're using the block, you can move it to the left foot. Or if you're using the floor, that's fine for this first round. So left foot will come up on the block. Left knee will turn out. Inhale, arms in prayer, or all the way up. We're engaging that right leg, tightening the right hip, finding our focal point straight ahead. Again, the foot can be on the floor in your kickstand position. A little wobbly is okay, but if you need to hold on to fingertips, that's fine. Slowly release the arms if they're up and move the knee to the front of the mat and relax into your mountain pose. One more round each side, right? Because we want that repetition and that time to build the muscle mass. This time I will show, and bone density, I'll show you with the chair. So again, you can always be near the wall a little bit more if you need to. Now the chair is higher, so you have to have the flexibility and the motion in the hip to use the chair. So that's just an FYI. If you do have any hip issues, it may be too high and uncomfortable to use the chair. So I would stick with the block or the floor. But if you want a little more range of motion and lift on that right leg, then let's try the chair. Okay, so same thing, you can try to face your right foot forward and then just turn it to see how much motion you can get. It is a little more of a tense stretch, like I said, so you'll feel it maybe a little more in the groin. And then inhale, arms where you like. If I'm arching too much in my back, I'm scooping my pelvis underneath me and flattening my back a little bit. I still have a curve, but it's not as big as it tends to want to be. I have an issue with overextending in my low back, so I have to be mindful of that. Modify. Give me another breath or two here. That left knee is slightly unlocked, is slightly bent. I'm not locking it out. Last breath. As you exhale, slowly lower. Hold on to the wall if you need to get that leg off the chair. So I'm going to move my chair, but you can turn around and just do the other side. So we're shifting our weight to the right leg. Hold on if you need to get that left leg up. Toes can start facing forward, but then just pivot, see what motion you have in that hip. You're going to feel it again. Maybe in that inner thigh may limit the motion that you have there. You can kind of see how close you want to be to the chair, how far may feel more comfortable, farther away. So find what feels okay. And then inhale, find your focal point, breathe, lift up through the heart, through the legs, shoulders relaxed. Last breath, as you exhale, just slowly lower and lift back down. Take your time coming out of that one, especially if you are using the chair. So we're going to bring our chair back towards your mat, if you had it on or off the mat while we were moving around, back towards the middle of the mat. And I have my strap. You can have a seat in the chair. These last couple of stretches, again, you don't need a strap for the one, but I will show it for the one, and I'll show it without, okay? But the strap is nice to help protect your back with the forward fold, because remember, anytime we're folding forward, we want to do more of a hinge at the hips and keep the back flat versus rounding out through the back, because that's, again, putting that pressure on the front of our spine, right? I know I'm offering a little bits of more info than I normally do, but I want you to kind of be able to piece it all together. And then as you do it more often, you won't need all the cues. And I think I'll film an intermediate level one where I can go a little bit more into the pose and offer some different poses without as many cues too. So this will be good to work on for a little bit, and then by the time that comes out, you'll be pretty good and maybe feel more confident in doing the next level. All right, so I like to set it up like this. Again, you don't need the block. Your foot can be on the floor. You don't need the strap. Your hands will be on your thighs. Forward folding to stretch the back of that leg. And if you have the strap, it adds the stretch to the bottom of the leg, the calf. Okay, so we're inhaling tall, shoulders down and back. Exhale, hinging at the hips, keeping the heart lifted. So I always say it's like you're keeping the heart lifted. We're not bringing the head to the knee. We're just slowly folding forward, bringing the heart towards the knee. And our shoulders are relaxed. We're pulling gently on the strap if we have one. And you see, I'm not going all the way down because I can feel it in my hamstrings already. And I can tell if I keep going, I'm going to want to compensate. So it's building that awareness is the biggest thing I can tell you today. Being aware of your body, honoring your body and what it's telling you. And it can be hard to know that, and it can be hard to feel that. So back off and be more cautious in the beginning than not. Because you may feel it later, but you may not feel it now. Last breath, and inhale, slowly come back up. One more time on the other side. And I'll show you, we're going to do this twice on each side. First time I'll do with the strap, second time I'll do without. So we're inhaling, finding our posture. Exhale, try to keep the back flat, keep the spine in alignment, and stop when you start to feel that rounding of the back or the tightness in the hamstring, preventing you from keeping good form. Breathing in, breathing out. Last breath. And slowly come up. And one side may just feel tighter than the other, and that's normal. I'm going to show you the next round from the side so you can see my back. Let's see, maybe we go this way. Okay, so if we're stretching, our right leg is out in front of us. And again, our back is nice and flat. Well, our neutral back, honoring the natural curves. We're hinging at the hips, right? Hinging, keeping the chest lifted, the heart is lifted as we fold forward, okay? Actually, I can't do it really well from the side, but I wanted to at least show you my back from the side. So I'm probably only going to bring my hands down to my thighs, right above my knees. I'm not trying to reach here because this is what happens. Can you see that? So I don't want this. I want this, And I can still feel a stretch back there. So it's not all about go as deep as you can and get the best, motion that push past the motion that you have to try to get more. It's not always about that. Breathe. Hi, puppy. Hi. And then inhale, slowly raise back up. Let's do the left side. So left leg comes straight. I like to pull, watch out. I like to pull my toes towards me as well. And then again, I'm hinging at the hips, pausing when I'm feeling the stretch. I'm not trying to push and pull and get the best, most perfect, because you may feel like it's doing it, but it's not looking that way all the time. So one more breath. And then slowly back up. One of the last stretches before we do our supported back extension at the end of the class, I want you to come to the side. Now I do want you to come to the side of the chair. And you're going to cross your right leg over your left. You can help support it there. If that's too hard, you can do this with your feet flat on the floor. But I want to see if you can do a little cross. You bring your left hand to the outside of that right leg to help keep it in place. We're inhaling. This is just minimal. We're not pushing all the way past our end range. We're trying to just get a little bit of a twist here. So we're inhaling tall. Again, I don't want you to be too forward flexed and then try to twist because that puts a lot of pressure. I want you to have a nice tall posture, spine erect, and then just try a gentle twist here. Inhale, you're supported on the chair with your right hand. But they actually found being able to do twists and some forward flexion safely could actually help build that bone density in the spine where it tends to start to lack. But it has to be done properly. And then exhale, relax. So you still want to incorporate some of those movements into your yoga practice, but again, with modification and with good alignment, so you're doing it safely. So now we'll cross the left leg over the right. Right hand comes to the outside of that left leg. Inhale, tall. And just a gentle baby twist here. Inhale, relax the shoulders. Last breath. And then slowly unwind. Remember, like today was more for folks that already have been diagnosed with osteoporosis. So that's why I'm modifying and we're not going as far. And I'm being really mindful about my spine movements. If you have osteopenia, it's a little less severe. And then if you're more in the prevention mode, then you can do a little bit more as well. So I'll add in some classes to reflect that, but today is mostly just about if you have osteoporosis and how to do these poses safely because of that. So the last pose I want, again, open up the front and then trying to work on keeping the posture, opening up the front so we can have better posture. So I'll show you the chair version, and then I'm going to get on the floor to do it on the floor. So I like to put my blanket on the backrest of the chair, and I like to be fairly close to a wall, just for my head support. You don't have to have your head supported. You can just lean back into the chair. I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you from the front, then I'll show you from this side here. So we're scooted all the way back. Backrest we're leaning on. And what you're doing is just starting to extend over that backrest and try not to do too much extension at the neck here. You can have your hands supporting your head. You can interlace your fingers if you want, or just have one on top of the other, depending on what your hair wants you to do. And I like to put my thumbs down to help support my neck. And because widen those elbows also helps stretch the front of the shoulders. And then I like to find the wall so my head can relax and I don't have to do much work. I'm pretty much supported from the chair and from the wall, and then my elbows can just kind of fall out. If this is too much on the elbows or the arms, then just drop your arms down by your side, palms facing forward. So you can stay here. And from the side, it looks maybe like this. But again, my head isn't hanging back. I have my chin tucked, my spine, my neck is in alignment, or I'm holding it here. Opening up all through the front. Okay, so do that. And for those that may want more, you can be a little bit better supported, I think, on the floor. Sometimes it's awkward to set it up in the chair. So have your blanket or pillow on the floor. I kind of put mine on like a rolled position, like a log, the length of my spine. There's ways you can do it where it goes the other way, but we're having that spine fully supported. And bring that blanket towards your tailbone and then slowly roll back onto it. You may need to make some adjustments so your head is on the blanket. And then you can open your arms into a goalpost or a T. I just don't have enough room because the wall's there. This is a very safe way to open up the front of the chest. You can make the blanket smaller if needed, or you can use your blocks and get a bigger stretch. If your head hurts or it's hard to relax your neck, put another blanket or pillow under your head. Give me a few breaths here. If you're in the chair, you can always come out of it, shake it out, then do one more round with us. Breathing in, opening through the belly and the chest. Letting out, relaxing where you can. Last breath here. And if you're on the floor, bend your knees and roll a little bit towards your side so you can take your blanket away. You can put it off to the side or use it as a pillow for your head. If you're in the chair, just come out of it, get yourself situated. I'm actually going to use my chair for the relaxation at the end here. So you can come down and just relax with your legs flat. If you're in the chair, just relax back into the chair. I'm going to put my legs up on the chair to help my low back. And then arms are relaxed, shoulders are relaxed. Hands can be on your thighs if you're in the chair. Arms can be by your side if you're on the floor. Knees can relax away from each other. And you can pet your puppy if they're nearby. Just start to let all those thoughts go. Anything comes into the mind, just acknowledge it and let it pass by. Take note of how you feel after practice today. Do you feel any lighter, any looser? Do you feel stronger, more empowered? Maybe you feel a little tight somewhere or something's talking to you because we stretched out some muscles that maybe haven't been worked in a while. No, that's okay. We'll keep the first step was showing up today and joining me. And think of 2 or 3 things that you feel grateful for today. Just letting them land around the heart area. A smile spread across your face, across your heart as you think of that gratitude, bringing in the happiness around you. And you're always welcome to stay here in Shavasana longer than we do if you need that little extra time. But if not, you can start to slowly wake up the body, pedal the feet, roll the wrists, little neck rolls are okay. And take your time. If you're on the floor, you can roll to your side again and gently push yourself back up. You have to roll over onto your body. If you're in the chair, you're just starting to grow your, work that posture, wiggle out the arms, and just kind of wake that body up. Open up your eyes to join me at the end here. Good job today. Like I said, just showing up is the first step, and it's an amazing step. So practice this a few times a week, and over the next couple weeks, really practice, get comfortable with the poses, mindful of the posture, trying to get feedback maybe if someone's around if you're not sure, or be near a mirror if you're not sure, and just starting there. And like I said, I think we're planning on I'm planning on having a part 2 per se of some of these poses, but then adding in a couple other ones as well that are good for bone density support. So I'm excited about that. Thank you guys for joining me. Leave any comments, what you liked or what you want to see next, or any different types of diagnoses that you may want to see some yoga for. Always welcome to offer any feedback there, okay? So thank you, Jackie. This is Luna, and we'll see you next time.